Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next webinar from X Technologies. That's us. That's our session number 4, and that's the second session where we will talk about data science. But first, let me introduce the agenda for now. I will switch to presentation mode, hopefully. Yep. So what is going to look today? First of all, we will introduce a bit of our team. Then I will talk briefly, and my teammates will help me to talk about our motivation, why we're doing this. And then I will jump to the project itself. I will briefly describe what it's about, and then we will switch to the main part, where we'll be implementing some code in Jupyter notebooks. And then after we're done with that, we will switch back here and have a small discussion, and we'll probably announce the next events. Cool. So yeah, I think our link is visible. All good.
Yeah,
so
see some hellos in YouTube. Hey guys,
Yeah.
I'm Alex.
Hello.
Shall I start?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Alex. Well, I think we at some point to stop introducing ourselves. It's just a matter of few more events, and
we're getting bigger and bigger as a team.
Yeah. Right. Hey, yeah, we're doing this X Technology events that's our 4th event in a row. Yeah, my background is programming mostly. Previously was doing a JavaScript. Now I switched a bit to Golang stack and Java. Yeah, I think in the opposite order, to be honest. Yeah, that's briefly what I'm doing. Doing some learning courses, teaching stuff. Yeah, it's me.
Yeah, and the best way to track Alex, what he's doing, is to go to his Twitter, which is Alex Korzhikov. He's posting a lot of interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then me probably, I'm Igor Smirnov. I'm working as a data scientist in Crayon, that's in Austria. I have like 5 or 6 years of experience being a data scientist. Before I was a systems analyst, so now switched to more working with data, and I'm really happy about it. And recently we started this additional activity, and I'm super happy and excited to be doing it. That's my motivation. So Andrew is not live, right?
Yeah, he will probably join later. We have two experts join today. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Hi guys. So yeah, probably you could briefly introduce yourselves.
Okay, so I'm currently working in Yandex as a data engineer and data analyst with prior experience in data science and backend development in Python.
Hey, Maxim, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Maxim.
Hi guys, Sebastian here. Igor invited me to this. I'm really excited for today and for your talk because I read your articles already, so pretty exciting stuff. I work with Igor. That's how I know about your project, and I personally do not have a big coding background, or rather not a big Python background. When it comes to the analysis of the scraped data later on, this might be something where I contribute more, but for now I would just be a listener and maybe an observer, and I'm really excited for the web scraping stuff because that sounds really cool to me.
Great, thank you guys. So I will jump to the next point. So why are we doing this as X Technology or as ourselves? So first of all, I consider it as something fun. It's really cool to do something new, to talk with new people, to meet new people, to have these discussions and webinars, to write the articles and so on. And of course, it's learning and sharing. So during my current project, I've already learned a lot of new things, and I didn't expect it to be like this because it was not some rocket science. But anyways, while you're doing something, you get to know a lot of new cool stuff. And of course, it's also cool to share it. Oh, even if it's not something super complicated. Anyways, it's super nice to talk about it, to write about it, and see that someone might need it. And I think the main reason it's people. So we started together with Alex 3 months ago, I suppose, and now I could say we're almost 5, or even might be more. So it's just awesome how the community grows and people are interested in leading their projects or being experts in the projects of the others. So that's just awesome. And of course, we all want to build something new. So to build rockets, new projects. It was, I think, the very initial motivation of mine to build something really working from scratch. So I'm still super excited about it. Cool.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah.
Intro.
Yep. So I think that's enough with the intro. I will now jump to the topic of today. So today it's a second session of Airbnb analytics. How did it all start? Initially, I wanted to come up with some example of a data science project. So to do something from scratch, not to go to Kaggle and download the dataset and build the best model, which is there, but to look at it more like from a business perspective. So we have some idea, but we don't have the data, and we basically don't have nothing. And I was looking around the web in search of ideas and just stopped on this one. So basically there's Airbnb, and we could try to build some tool which will help us discover the accommodations in a slightly easier way. So the whole agenda of the project is not set yet, but the current idea is the following. At first, we need some data, and this data we'll get from scraping Airbnb website, and that's what we're going to talk today about. Then we'll need to process this data, to clean it, to make it ready for some analysis and machine learning. And that will be our next step. We will build the machine learning model, which will predict the price of the accommodation, given all the features that we will be able to scrape from their website. And then when we are done with that, hopefully soon, I'm really interested in building some real tool. So currently I have in mind some browser extensions, so probably Chrome extension, which will help us search for listings on Airbnb website. So my current idea is that you go to the website, you put your destination, the dates, then you see all the listings, and then this Chrome extension will help you decide whether the price of the listing is too high or it's too low. So basically, is it overpriced or underpriced? That is my current idea. And today we're going to talk about the first part here, web scraping, Airbnb website to get the data. And as it's the second webinar, I will just start from, we're jumping to the content. I will switch the tabs, actually the windows. Now we are in the Jupyter notebook where we can implement some code. And I want to start with recapping the previous session. So what did we do last time? Last time we were analyzing and scraping the search page of Airbnb website. I will just go there and show it. Oops, sorry. So when we get to Airbnb website, we can browse for the location we're interested. So slow for me today. Somehow always experiment with Marhofen, which is in Austria, and it's a ski resort. Yes, I don't want to log in. I want to switch the dates and search. So here is how the search page looks like. There are 20 listings on one page, and we can scrape some information from them. And basically, to be able to do that, we don't have to do something fancy because this web page is static. So that means that we could use the library in Python, which is called requests. That's a library which allows us to send requests to different websites and to get the answers from these requests. So after we get the answer from the request, we will have to process it. That's why we will need the beautiful soup library. And how do we know what to get from the websites? Here we will use the Chrome developer tools. Let me go back here. If you press F12, yes. So here we have the Chrome developer tool on the right, and basically we can press inspect, and we will hover over the website, and it shows us which element is corresponding to which piece of code. So basically we can go here, press on it, and we see that the first listing is hidden beneath the element which is called div, and it has this specific class. Awesome. So let's jump back. And here is a simple function which scrapes all the listing from the search page. So basically we send the request to the web page. We get the content of it. Then we process the content with a beautiful soup library. And then we are looking for the specific tags, which I already pre-coded here. So let's just run it. And here I have the example URL of Airbnb search page. And now I will run the function, and hopefully we will get 20 listings downloaded. Now it's running. And let's just see the length of this array. Yeah, all good. So we have 20 listings, and one of the features of Beautiful Soup that it has this prettify method. It could try to make the output of the HTML a bit more beautiful. So let's just see how the first listing HTML looks like. It's a bunch of different tags with some information. We see the name of the listing. Probably somewhere we will see the price, but yeah, so it's a lot of stuff. I will just collapse this cell for now. Yeah, so what are we exactly interested in scraping here? That's how the actual listing looks like. And basically we want to download everything we see. So it's a header, the name, the amount of rooms, so how many beds are there. Is there a special badge, for example, rare find? We also want to get it. Some hosts are super hosts. That's also important for us. The rating of the host. Well, actually, it's a rating of the location itself. And of course, the price and the URL of the price. So basically, that's around 6 or 7 elements which we want to scrape. And I put them all into this dictionary. And I also wrote the function which which unifies the way how we can scrape the specific element, because we could write 8 different small functions which will scrape the specific element, but I wanted to unify it a bit. So wrote this small function. So let's try to run it and scrape the URL, the first listing. Yeah, so here's the URL. We got it from the HTML, which I showed you before. And for example, the name also works, yeah. So that's how we get access to the data with the use of requests and Beautiful Soup. Now we'll just wrap the whole the scraping into the small function, which I called extract page features. It will just iterate through all the features which I posted here in the array, and will consequently scrape all of them. Let's implement it, and let's run it for the first listing on the page. Yeah, now here are our results. So we see that some data is here, some data is empty. It's a bit unfortunate, but that's the problem of a real scraping, which we will hopefully soon later. Another thing which we talked about the last time was about pagination. So every Airbnb search page has 12 or 20 different listings, but there are 15 pages which Airbnb allows us to browse for each location. And basically, the easiest way to switch between all of them is to use this additional parameter in the URL, which is called items offset. So we basically add the items offset equals 20, 40, 60. so 20 listings per page, and then we can get to the page of our interest. And here is a function which builds all the links for one location. So ideally, it should output 15 different links. Let's run it and see the result. I don't have the cell here, but we can do it. List. Yeah, so I won't calculate, but hopefully it's 15 of them. Perfect. And now we're getting to the very end of how to scrape the static pages. We will write the final function, which is process search page. Let's run it, and we just try to do that on one of the pages, not all of the 15 paginations, but to make it quicker, I picked around one random. So let's see, what do we have now? This array should have 15 different dictionaries. Each one of them corresponds to a specific listing, and in every specific listing we have all the elements which we are interested in. So URL, name, header, and so on. So that's how it looks like. And that's basically it for scraping the storage page, which we did the last session. For today, we have something probably more exciting and interesting. And so probably we want to discuss it a bit before going.
Yeah, I'm not sure if someone has a question already. I thought for myself I wanted to ask how generally the setup differs from the previous session to a current one. So that's what you're gonna talk about now, or it's was somewhere between lines?
So basically now I kind of finalized the recapping of the previous session, and from now on we can start the content of the current one.
Okay, got it. Thanks. Hey guys, do you have any questions? Feel free to send us to the chat. Maybe Maxime or Sebastian want to ask something.
Well, it was pretty straightforward for me now, so I have no questions.
That's just as a recap. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Just as a recap, you retrieved now the information only from the search page, not from the individual pages of the Charlotte or whatever you were searching for, right?
Yeah, exactly. So now we just went to this search page and scraped all the informations from here for all the paginations of this page. So now we have 20 times 15 listings, so it should be 300 listings, and we have the basic information which is accessible on the search page. Yeah.
All right then.
Cool.
Let's go on.
Yeah, let's go on. So now we want to jump to specific pages, detail page of every listing, and we will find out soon that they are dynamic. So what does it mean? For example, we want to, first of all, let's go to one of the pages, for example, this one. It takes so much time. Yeah, I have to tell different stories while it's loading. Yeah, so that's how the search page looks like. There are a lot of photos and different data, which is about to be here in a moment. A lot of different details, amenities, prices with a lot of drop downs, the reviews, and so on. And basically, let's just try to scrape, for example, this element, which is the name. I already inspected it a bit, and I know that it is hidden beneath the tag called div with this class. So I will just code it here. Let's try to do that with the same method as we did before. So basically, we send the requests with the requests library to this page, and then we want to scrape the specific elements with this class ID. And unfortunately, we don't see anything. And that's because let's just take a look at what did we scrape now. So for now, we see a lot of different stuff, and basically there are a lot of different functions. So script, function. I think if we'll try to calculate it, will be around 50 different functions here. So basically, this web page is dynamic, and at first it loads different JavaScript functions, and only then they are being executed. And after this execution, we see the content of the page. So basically, we need to have some different approach to scrap that kind of pages. And for this, we have some specific tools, and one of them is Selenium. So Selenium is a set of software tool which allows us to mock the user behavior in the browser, to go to different web pages, to scroll them, to click, to press on the buttons, or fill in the forms. So basically whatever we want. I already have pre-installed it because basically it's just a Python package for us, and also we have to have the driver for the browser which we would like to use. So I'm working in Chrome, and I already downloaded a Chrome driver and put it to the right place. So now I can just import it and initialize. So for now, we're initializing the Selenium session. And on my second screen, I already have the Windows. I will bring it here. And now I will try to make it a bit more visible. Whoop. Yeah, so on the right you see the Selenium tab, which was opened after we initialized the WebDriver. And now we will do just get our URL of interest. And on the right, we see that Selenium runs this for us. So now we're getting to this web page. It again takes a lot of time. But finally, we are there. And then so we see that it's loaded. And for now, we can get the HTML code of this page and see whether the element of interest is there, whether we can find it. Afterwards, don't forget to close the driver, otherwise there will be some process in your system going. So we will get the HTML code, close the driver, and process this HTML with Beautiful Soup the same way as we did before. Now we're looking for the same element, so we would like to find, we would like to know if there is this name which we looked for before. And yes, here it is. So with Selenium, we are able to download something which was not accessible with requests library. So some different topic, the buttons. On Airbnb, we have some buttons to be pressed. So for example, amenities are hidden behind this button. And ideally, we have to press on it and only then scrape this information. And the same goes about sometimes the price details are hidden beneath this small button. So we also would like to scrape this information, and we have to press on this button before we do that. So it's also quite straightforward with Selenium. Let's again initialize the WebDriver. It again opens on my second screen. I'll bring it here. Yeah, let's wait a bit till it's loaded. Yeah, now I would like to find the actual button. So I already know that the button which shows the pop-up with amenities has this class in CSS. I already inspected it with Chrome Developer Tools. For now, let's just search for it. So Selenium found this element on the page, and now we do the .click. And hopefully it works. Yes, so we did the click and this pop-up opened for us. Now we can scrape the data. Yeah, for now, let's close it and let's try this whole exercise at once. So we initialize the driver, we go to the web page, we search the button, and we click on it. So let's do all of this at once. Quickly bring the window here back. Yeah, and we see that we were not able to do that. We see some exception, and let's look what it's saying for us. It says no such element, unable to locate the element. So basically, Selenium opened the web page, and then immediately we asked it to find the button. And unfortunately, the page needs some time to be loaded. So after we initialize the driver and get to the page, we have to wait a bit till the button is there, and only then to click on it. Let's close the current version. So for waiting, we will utilize the library time, which allows us to wait in an easy way. We just add this small row, which will allow us to sleep 5 seconds after we get to the page. Actually, I will try to do 3 seconds. Hopefully, it will be enough. So let's again open Selenium. Now, after the page is loaded, Python will wait for 3 seconds and only then look for the button. No, 3 seconds were not enough. We have to do it once again this 5. Yeah, again, it all depends on the machine you're using. Probably my laptop is currently doing something really heavy because even
Can I ask something?
5 seconds. Yeah, while I'm doing this, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. Thanks. I wanted to check. Again about this Selenium setup, but now 2 other questions from my head. So with these Python notebooks, because I heard from you that it basically was a pain to install a Selenium and all the libraries to make it work locally. Is it also the issue with these Python notebooks, or it's all straightforward? You just say import Selenium and it all works.
With notebooks, it's kind of the same because notebook is just the visual interface for the Python environments. Yeah, you're right. I had some problems with installing Selenium drivers, let's say. I use a Windows machine, and basically I always work in this WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux, and it has some specificities. It kind of mocks Linux within the Windows system, and with the latest version of this WSL, I couldn't install Selenium to make it work properly. So I tried to do that for a couple of days, and then I switched back to the previous version of WSL, and it is working nicely. So it really depends on the system which you're using, but basically there are a lot of different lists how to do it, how-tos in the internet.
Right. I think last time you showed code in some Python notebooks in a Google ecosystem, if I'm not mistaken. Is it the same experience in there, or it's at least there it works from the box?
Yeah, it's actually, so Google has this collab service, and basically that's just the hosted service of Jupyter Notebooks, which is hosted by Google. So you don't need to download Python to install all these libraries on your machine. You just go to collab.google.something, and they already have it pre-installed for you. And if you want to use Selenium, you have to install Selenium within their environment. And it could be, it again depends on their system. But when I did it, it was quite straightforward, just to run some scripts, nothing fancy to be done.
Okay. And if you compare this local setup against CLab, Google GLab setup, like is it actually handy to use it for debugging? I mean, Google setup, or is it's more useful when you do it from local?
I think it depends. So first of all, we as data scientists, we always work with data, and sometimes Google is easier to host the data. So that's when you could utilize their Colab for service. And also Colab is super easy to share. So when you're working in a team and you're doing the same stuff, or you want to share your analysis with each other, it's super easy to create a notebook in Colab and just give the link to someone else. Okay. But basically, it's like it depends on your preferences. whether I mostly prefer to work on my local machine, but yeah, collab is also quite handy. I think it's a bit nicer when you want to format your notebook to make it a bit more fancy how it looks like.
Mhm.
And
Igor,
also they have, yeah.
No, go
Yeah,
ahead. I
go
didn't
on.
want to interrupt.
No,
I wanted to ask regarding the loading. So you said it depends on your machine how long this loads. Did I get you right there?
Yeah, right, because it's the CPU of your machine processes all the browser stuff. Because
Okay.
currently my CPU is loaded with something, I suppose.
Okay, so you don't think that like it takes Airbnb a while to process, like to make a query in their database or something like this? Just that
No,
the website just takes a.
Yeah, you're completely right. That is for sure, of course. But I think the bottleneck in our today's session is my laptop, not Airbnb. So, of course, I send a request to Airbnb. They have some time to process it. They send me back the results, and then my machine has to render all the stuff that they send back. And for me, that takes some time. So usually
that's the main chunk of the time of these
yeah,
5 seconds.
Yeah, because usually I was able to do it in 3 seconds, and today my laptop
All right,
is
okay.
just letting me down.
That's interesting because when I'm privately on Airbnb, and I think, okay, that really takes a while. So you think it's a machine, it's not something like Airbnb put on purpose there, such that you don't scrape their website or something like this.
I think that could also be a valid point, but I hope that they won't decrease the speed for us if we're not sending too many requests. If we will start the massive scraping, then probably they will do that, but not for 1 or 2 requests.
Mm-hmm.
But I will also be interested. Yeah.
Maybe one more question in that direction. When you are scraping this via Selenium, do you think, or how is that, like, from which IP are you basically doing that? Is this your local IP or is this some other IP?
Yeah, so for now, I'm not hiding behind any proxies, let's say. I'm just a simple guy who's using his own IP. And you're right, if we want to do it in a high scale, then we have to utilize some proxies probably, because Airbnb won't like what we're doing here. Most definitely.
Gotcha.
Igor, we have one question from the chat. Anastasia asks, Selenium with Scrapy.
Yeah, I think that will be a very nice way to go, because for now I'm doing everything like with my hands, like coding all the stuff, and definitely there are a lot of different tools which allow us to scrape web pages in an easy way. Scrapy is one of them, and it's actually a super nice tool. It's currently, I think, so for this small project, I hope that this script will be enough, so that we will be able to download the amount of the data that we will need for the modeling. But of course, if we want to make it really productive, then we will have to look for more stable and consistent solutions. And one of them might be scraping.
Yes. Thanks. I have one more question, but maybe I will ask it later. So shall we continue, you think? So,
well, I kind of have not a question, but
yeah, sure, Maxim. Yes, please.
So I'm not sure whether you did it for like showing purposes or if you are not aware, but Selenium actually has a tool to wait for a specific element to load. So you don't need to specify exact amount of seconds or anything. You can just specify ID of element and tell him wait till this element is loaded and then go on.
Yeah, that is a very nice comment. Actually, at first I didn't know that it exists. Then I Googled a bit and I found this stuff. So in the script, in the final script, I put this. So in the final script, I'm not waiting 5 seconds. I'm just waiting for a specific element. But you have to specify which element you want to be loaded, and that might be another trick, because we will rely on the specific ID, and it might happen that Airbnb will change the structure on the website and there will be no this ID. So that's why you have the maximum waiting time in this function. But yeah, but you're completely right, Maxim. So it is a more nice way, sorry, nice way to do that rather than sleeping. Right, so I think we can jump back here. So finally the 7 seconds elapsed, and we see that we were able to press on the button and we have the entities here. And now we can just get the HTML code, close our Selenium, and see whether we have the amenities in this code. So again, our previous results, we stored them in a details soup object. We are trying to look for amenities in the previous one, and we see that there are no amenities, 0. And hopefully we have them now. Yes, now we have 8 amenities, and we did that with Selenium, but we waited for 7 seconds, which is a bit of a not a nice thing. Right, so about saving some time, because all of the scraping takes really a lot of time. One of the things might be not loading the images. Actually, that is quite straightforward, but I honestly didn't think about it. So thanks for Auguste. Hopefully I pronounced his name right. So he wrote me and asked me why am I not doing it, and proposed the easy way how to do that. And thanks for him for this collaboration. Basically, there are options for Selenium, and one of the options can tell us enable feature or image enabled false. So we basically do not load the images, and that's how it looks like. Selenium opens the web page, and it is a bit, yeah, now it even takes time, but hopefully slightly less. So we see that the places where the images are empty, but all the information is here. So unless we are gonna scrape the images and process them in some way, probably it's a nice way to go, because we don't have to wait till our browser will download the images. So even the map is not here. All right. And then the next thing is again about the buttons. So basically there are 2 buttons which we are interested in. One of them is to show the amenities, and another one is to show the details of the price. And let's again open the page which has these 2 buttons. I'm doing this dragging exercise like so many times today. Yeah, so now we will focus on the button which shows us the price details, and I already inspected the ID of the button. It's like this, and let's locate this element with Selenium. Yeah, we have no error. That means that the element is present on the page. We can actually scroll and see it. Yeah, it's here. And now our goal is to click on it. So usually element.click works, but in some cases like this, it did not. And it told us that the element click intercept. So the element is not clickable at point. So basically it didn't like that this element was not, viewport. That's how I interpret this exception, and Maxim probably could correct me if I'm not right. And the first thing how I try to solve that. Yeah, Maxim, feel free to say something.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, so the first way how I try to solve it, I tried to Google for another ways how to click on buttons, and I found that there is this action chains set of tools. It's basically a low-level interaction with the browser. You can scroll, locate specific elements with this browser, click on them, and so on. And basically, I import them and try to do the same. And there is a function move to the element and perform the click. But again, I had this trouble. But now it was a bit more specific. It said that move target out of bound. So at this moment, I got the understanding that the problem is that the element is not in the viewport, so we do not see it when we are trying to click on it. Basically, only here we see it, and in this case we probably could click on it. So now it's visible, and if we run the same function, everything is okay. So we clicked on it. Let's click back. Yeah, awesome how it works. So basically we have to learn how to scroll, and that was another challenge of mine. I think I spent quite some time. So finally I realized that you can run the JavaScript for that, and that there is some method scroll into view, but also some not very straightforward things. So now I will do this scrolling. So we scroll once, and we still do not see the element that we are interested in, although we said that scroll to this element. So I will just do consecutive scrolls. So number 2, number 3, number 4. So only after 4 attempts, we succeeded to get it into our viewport. And now finally we are able to click on it. Awesome. And actually at that point, I realized that we are also able to click on it in a way that we used before without action chains. But yeah, now we have 2 methods how to click on the buttons. It was better than 1, I suppose. So basically, the recap, we have to first scroll to the element of our interest and only then to click on it. And scrolling is not super straightforward. We have to do multiple scrolls and try after every attempt. Yeah, so now we'll jump a bit. So let's close the driver. And actually, it's a nice time to discuss some Selenium stuff if you have any comments, guys. Because I think I spent for this scrolling and locating the elements almost a week, which is just awful.
Yeah, I have indeed. That's I could imagine the journey indeed. Yeah, actually, I'm thinking that there is a. Yeah, I'm from JavaScript background, so I have a different experience with Selenium. I was mostly using it for integrational tests. It's actually looks nice that you can stop your script in the middle and see what exactly happens in a browser in the same time. For me, I don't remember that experience. However, I spent some time with the Selenium in JS. But yeah, my question. The question is like. I can imagine the situation. It's called lazy loading when a page doesn't even have an element in there yet, and until you scroll to that point, it will just appear at some time. Like usually it happens with images, for example, to save so on. Yeah, does you think your script will? Yeah, I think it will not work, right? In this situation, if the element is not there yet. I mean, scroll into view this kind of function.
Yeah, I think you're right. So this exact script won't work with that kind of pages. And actually, that's a really nice way to do. So probably I could change the way the script is now written. We can go to the page and then do some scrolls down, and I don't know how many of them, just to make the elements loaded. That's another way not to wait for this 7 seconds, or to be more specific.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not familiar with the usual best practices how to do that, so I think that's a very nice way. Thanks for the idea.
Guys, any questions? Comments?
Sounds like no.
Okay. Yeah, then I will just shout another one. You showed already these classes and IDs, and you said that those are temporary. Well, not temporary, but yeah, they can change at any point in time with the Airbnb new release, I guess. Yeah. So what's your plan to maintain this script and still triggers?
Yeah,
I see it triggers you.
Yeah, that's the best question ever. Honestly, I don't have the plan. So I'm doing this project for 3 months for now, and I already have changed some of the classes for some elements because Airbnb changed the way they create their web pages. For now, I was just doing it manually. I was like running my script from time to time and seeing how you have empty prices. Let's look what's happening. And I found out that the prices have changed and some other web tag. And the worst thing is that some versions of the website are still having the old one and some of them the new one. So for now, I don't have the best solution. For now, I'm just scraping the two versions of it, and later we will just get the one which is there. But yeah, that is a great question, because I don't know what is the best practice, how people are scraping their pages in a very consistent way. Maybe there is a way to go to the page with some pre-scraper and to locate the elements which you are interested in, maybe using some searches on the page just to look for the specific elements which you are interested in, and then identify their IDs and put them into some config and then run your script. But I'm not
if you
sure.
knew one page where you say, okay,
Yeah.
this is the tag referring to the following information, and the page stays the same over a period of time. But then you still have not covered the A/B testing aspect, right? It's just for
yeah. So that's why I'm still hesitant how to go in a more consistent way. So if you have some ideas, I will be happy to talk about it.
Yeah, I can remember Andrew said Andrew had some experience with scraping, right? He told us that it's almost impossible, I think, to maintain this kind of scripts over the time. Anyways.
Yeah, although there are some resources which are doing the scraping in a consistent manner. I don't know how do they work. Maybe they are looking at this manually and changing it from time to time, or maybe they manage to do some automation out of it. I don't know.
What if you don't specify a tag? Like how does search bots, like for Google search and for other services, they probably don't save information about which tag contains the useful data, right? They do it in other way, I can guess.
Yeah, I don't know, but I could guess that they're looking for some specific types, like for links, for example, or for headers, or for lists. I honestly don't know how it works like. So
okay.
If Maxim, you have some idea, as you're working for almost Google, or sometimes maybe better than Google, and feel free to share.
No, I don't work in Yandex Search, so I don't know. But as far as my experience goes, I have never experienced like a project which is not maintaining the tags by with the manually, let's say. So every project that I have seen actually required handwork with maintaining those tags. So I'm not sure whether it's even possible to do other way, unfortunately.
Yeah, that sounds slightly disappointing, because I was really hoping that the solution exists. So, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
shall we continue, Igor?
Yeah, I think it's not too much left. But let's go on. Now, yeah, so we are exercised a bit with clicking on the buttons and scrolling. That was awesome. And now let's a bit generalize what we want to do. Before, we wrote the function which extracts the elements given the dictionary. So the dictionary might look like this. So we specify the element and where exactly it's hidden in the HTML. And we wrote the function which was scraping the specific element. Now we will just slightly update this function to be able to scrape, for example, these kind of things. Yeah, so for example, there are house rules, and you see that there are currently 7 of them, but sometimes it's only 2 of them, or 3 or 4 or 5, and just not to scrape the arbitrary amount. So we can always scrape like for 10, for example, but it's not super nice to my understanding. So I'm just scraping all of them at once, and I concatenate the results and put them to a very long string, which we will lately parse in the next session, I suppose. So here I just slightly modified our function, and now it allows us to concatenate the results and scrape them later. So yeah, now we would, how it looked before. Now we are scraping the first house row. It looks like this. And with a new function, we could do like this. So we scraped all of them at once, and they are concatenated with this separating symbol. So afterwards, it will be easy to split it and process it with later scripts. Yeah, and amenities, the amenities look slightly different from the whole website. Here they are. So there are also not fixed amount of them, and there are sections. The section has a header and the content, and sometimes the content has a sub-content. So I decided not to go on this low level and to stop just on the bathroom and what's in the bathroom, or entertainment and what kind of entertainment is there. Basically, yes, so one of the amenities, how it looks like. So we see the bathroom, and yep, so that's the header. And we get the text of it, yes, so only the bathroom. And let's find all of the things which are beneath it. Now it's only hairdryer. And let's take a different one. Yeah, so we see that, for example, for the bathroom or essentials, yeah, for essentials, we have different things which is below the level of our interested. So we're not interested in the towels, bed sheets, soap. It's too specific, and we want to stop on the level of essentials. So for now, we use for that we utilize this method find, and we specify that we are interested only in the text, not in the text which are below, and we get only essentials. Great. So now let's wrap this script into one function. Extract amenities and run on our example. As a result, we have the dictionary with different bathroom amenities, bedroom, whatever else, and also some unavailable. So later we will have to clean this data because you see that there is amenity not included. That means that there are no such things like air conditioning or washer, and we will have to scrape it to post-process it to put in a nice way to our machine learning model. Finally, all the features that we're interested to scrape from the search page, I put them all here, and you see that there is this specialties 1, specialties 2. That's exactly the case when Airbnb is changing the tags. And in some version of the website, there is this ID, on another this ID. So I just decided to leave both of them, and one of them should be successful. The same goes about prices. Now I will wrap all the Selenium stuff into one function. So we call it extract soup JavaScript JS. So what else are we doing here? We are actually not showing the browser. We are running the browser in a headless mode. It hopefully could save us some CPU resources as well. And the final function to process the detail page, we use Selenium, then we extract the features from the HTML which Selenium got us, and then we get amenities because they are slightly specific, and output the whole list of the features. Yeah, let's run one of the examples. So for one detail URL, and also let's track the time, how long it lasts. And so now, yeah, we can have to tell some stories. Actually, for now, I will just run the next cells. And while they are running, we will be able to talk about what they're doing. So run.
I heard stories, so I turned us in.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, stories. Yeah, if you have some stories. Today my laptop is so slow, and yeah, I will just run the functions. And basically, wow, with 16 seconds. So scraping of one detail page took us 16 seconds. I think in best times of my laptop, it was able to do it in 9 seconds, but today is something really going wrong. Or maybe Airbnb is doing something wrong, but yeah, I'm not sure. And what is the result of our scraping? I think we see by the speed of executing the cell that the problem is with my laptop. And now it's really the time for the stories. Because it just
not a story. Some related related task I used to solve. Actually, I like it as when we have some JavaScript interviews, I always ask this question. It's kind of related to scraping story itself. Like the task sounds like how you can find a unique selector for an element on a page. And that, of course, you need to have some understanding of a DOM and the structure of a document object model and how elements work. So yeah, but maybe you can guess or something like that.
That's a nice question. So probably that's why I'm not a JavaScript engineer. But I think I didn't get it completely. So your question is how to scrape the specific information from the website, or how to locate the element of interest? Yeah,
sort of locate. Indeed, it's basically like a document object model has in JavaScript has some classes, and every element on a page has a synced DOM class related to that. And in general, idea is that you pass an element to a function, and the function produces the path to this element, and the path should be unique, so you can get only one specific element on this page. So to produce the unique path for this element on the page, because if you just use div, for example, or dot class, basically you can have multiple elements. So with this class on the page, it doesn't guarantee you that you have just one.
Yeah, that's actually a nice question. Not sure. I think I would just go through the whole DOM probably and save the structure to some dictionary. I don't know, and then see what I'm looking for. I don't know. So, for example, here, if I'm interested in scraping some text, which I'm interested in, so I could search for exact pieces of the text and then try to locate what HTML elements correspond to this. But this won't save us from the problem that there are similar elements on the page. So, for example, the class and the name could be stored in the same element called div class ID. For this, it might be a problem. Is there an answer to this question?
Yeah, it is. It is an answer. Yeah, it's close, I think, in some way. So I don't know. Probably you guys, or maybe you, Igor, are not familiar with CSS selectors. You basically can have a selector which is like a child selector. You can specify the greater than. This is a sign, a greater than, like that, and basically that would mean that I'm searching for an element right directly inside this element, and then basically the idea is that you can construct a path from top of your document into the to the element. So you can say like HTML contains body contains div contains span, blah blah blah, and that would be almost unique. You just need to add one more thing to that. You can also add some pseudo class selector, which is an nth child, like a number of a child inside this parent, and that would make your selector unique, but it's not optimized. So to optimize it, it's a bit different story.
Okay, I got you. That's actually, I think, one of the things that Beautiful Soup does. So when we apply it for the extracted HTML, it creates the DOM tree, and then you can get the element and then get the child of this element or the parent of this element. But I think I never did it manually. I always rely on these libraries. Cool. So as you might have seen, I have some unexpected exceptions in the code, which I'm super not happy about. But let's try to go forward. So we stopped at on the moment that we processed the detail page, and it took us 16 seconds. And let's look at what we have processed. And actually, we see that everything is empty. So that might mean that this 5 seconds. Yeah, that's 3 seconds. So I initialized the 3 seconds, though it was not definitely enough for the Selenium for the page to be loaded. And we just were attempting to scrape the elements while they were not still loaded. So the results look pretty bad. Only the location was scraped. And that was actually my introduction kind of to the parallelization, because it does make sense to do it all in a for loop, because the CPU load of one process was around 8% for me when I tried to measure it. And that basically means that we will have to wait for an hour to scrape only one location. So I tried to parallelize it, and for that I used a multiprocessing library in Python. There are multiple libraries. I think the most used is joblib. Also there is Ray, which I would like to test, as they say that they are super fast. But I stopped on multiprocessing. And basically here you have to choose the number of pools or processes which you are going to run your script with. And I think the best way to go, or not the best way, the first way to try is to get the amount of processes equal to the CPU count of your machine. So for me, it's 8 CPUs. And yes, I actually prepared here the function which calculates how good are we at scraping. So basically, it calculates the percentage of empty data which we scraped before. And my idea is to run some experiments. So I say, hey, let's run our script with 4 pools and with 8 pools and see how good are we at scraping. And we see that so for 4 pools, our script did run. It took us 143 seconds, and the empty ratio was 85%. That is pretty bad. So that means that we downloaded only the 15% of the data we were interested in. Ideally, I wanted it to be close to 10 or 20, and I think in the best times of my laptop, it was close to 20 or 30. And we also see that on the second run, when I try to utilize 8 pools, it's basically just crashed. Maybe let's tell us from driver unexpectedly exited. Well, that probably means that I have to handle this exception because I never stumbled upon it, and well, you learn something new. Ideally, I wanted to show that when you utilize 8 CPUs, then of course the time gets slower, but the empty ratio grows. That means that we download less information, but quicker. So there is always a trade-off. Either we wait for a lot for the page to be loaded, and then we can scrape all the data that we need, or we wait slightly less, but then we do not download all the data that we want. And yes, we also have this waiting time. So to wait 3 seconds after the initial load with Selenium, then to wait 1 second after we click on the amenities button. And we could also play with different numbers. Initially, I said that let's play with 5.2. And I think we don't want to wait for all of it. Basically, after running this, I wanted to get the results that we scrape more data with more waiting time. But of course, the run of the script is significantly higher. And it's always up to us if we have a lot of time or a lot of machines, which we could use for parallelization. Then we could say that let's utilize only the half of the cores and let's wait a bit more. And then we will have more data. Or if we're in a hurry and we want to scrape whole Airbnb in 10 minutes, then we say that open as many pools as you want, but afterwards we won't have any reasonable data, so all of it will be missing. Yeah, so that's kind of it for what I wanted to share. Just a small summary. The whole script is available in our GitHub in Airbnb Analytics project. So here it is. Some things are slightly different that I showed here in the session, but mostly it's the same stuff. And also there is a small data sample in the same repository. Just when you are quite successful and you run the script, that's how your data might look like. And also there are some empty things. Actually, you see that the name is empty, but the name alt, which is the name alternative, is not empty. So Airbnb changed the tag. And for example, this, yes, so specialties. So it's either this tag or this tag. So you see that only one of them is present and the other is not. Yeah, so this is the small data sample of 60 different locations. And basically, yeah, so it's time to talk about the issues. I don't know, I can just quickly mention them. So first of all, a lot of missing data, which depends on how we scrape, what are the tags there, what is our laptop doing currently. I don't know what my laptop is doing, but now it's not processing it correctly. Also, there are these A/B tests, which are, so we cannot rely on one specific structure of the page. We have to somehow balance between different versions. And that's the downside for us, new names and new classes on new page structures even. So this is a super bad situation, I suppose, when Airbnb will just change the way how they present information for us, because I think it's a bit worse than renaming the class. And of course, if we run this on high scale, at some moments, Airbnb will start to block us because there will be too many requests, and we will have to use something else. Good, so I will be happy to discuss it if you guys have some ideas or questions.
Maybe one question regarding parallelization. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, yo.
All right. Regarding parallelization, maybe this is just a myth I heard once. But when I do parallelization on my local machine, I always set the cores I utilize to n-1, such that you have one core left. I don't know if this is just a myth or it would work anyways. What is your experience with that?
Yeah, I also heard this. So kind of you need one core to do all the other stuff, like browsing and watching YouTube. I don't know, honestly. So I think I tried only with this n and then divided by 2, but that's also a nice way to try. Maybe it will be faster, and although at the same moment it will download the data. So I think I will try it. Thanks.
All right. Yeah, I wanted to ask. I didn't get it quite. Do you lose all your data when like this bad attempt is happening, or do you lost like some part of it?
You mean this or the exception?
Yeah, this one.
So it's always this one.
Hmm?
Yeah, this one. So basically, we set the options which were not enough for the page to be loaded, and we did not scrape the page
at all. So and it happens every time. So when you are talking about 85% of like empty response, you are talking that 85% of response did not have data at all, right?
Yeah. So basically, it's not about the response; it's about the amount of features that we scraped. So I basically iterate through all the listings and all the features and calculate how many features among all the listings we scraped. And here we did scrape only 15%, which is bad. Yeah.
Okay.
And the other 85 is empty. And for now, yeah, that's another thing which I'm also wasting a lot of time for. I'm trying to balance with this waiting times and number of polls so that it's not taking hours and ages, but it's scraping the data that we want. And I think I got to a nice result finally. And here in the final script, which is here. So I was able to scrape, I think, at least 80 or 85% of the data. So, and I'm using here half of the CPUs on my machine, and I'm waiting slightly more. I wait for 20 seconds, yes. But I do it in a way that you, Maxim, was talking about before. So I'm waiting for a specific element to be loaded, and then I have a maximum time for it of 20 seconds. So sometimes it's less, but it's kept to 20 seconds. And with this configuration, it was better.
Is it more stable again from this Labs environment, Google Labs environment? Can you do you have more stable results from there?
Actually, I think it's the other way around, because Google by default it gives you only 2 CPUs. So probably it will be stable. Yes, you're right in terms of that their machine is not doing anything else like watching YouTube or running the antivirus, but it's only 2 CPUs and it will be slower. Although you can open multiple tabs, and yes, so it's again which compute you're using.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. So.
And yeah, you have, I guess, more details on the issues in the article, right, that you published last week, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah,
it's these issues as well described there?
Well, not all of them. Not all of them. I was talking about the issues that I was able to solve, kind of on this issue, which is about new names and classes or blocking the scraper. I am still on the way. I don't have a real solution for it. But yeah, so the most problems which I had, I tried to describe in this article, and feel free to go to smitio.medium.com and
we'll post it in the chat.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Alex.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe just a few words about the next steps in the project. So now we have downloaded the data, and sometimes it looks a bit dirty. It is a concatenation. It's a huge string which concatenates different information, and of course the basic stuff which we will do, we will just split it in multiple elements. So for one string now we have different elements. Afterwards we will have to somehow clean it and to turn it into the features for the model, because now it's just strings, and then we'll need to think a bit, should we take the amount of guests to the model or amount of bedrooms, so we need to somehow merge them or something like this. So basically we have to clean the data and to build the features, and then when we will build the features, we will have to fill the empty values, but because for some of the listings we won't be able to scrape all the house rules, for example, or sometimes our script won't work and we won't be able to scrape the name, let's say. So we will have to find a solution for it. Yep, so I will jump back to this presentation. And I think it's the right time to finalize with the current event and to briefly talk about the next one. So yeah, I pressed the wrong button. Yes, so today is the 13th of March, and in 2 weeks we will have the next session. And this session will be about pizza script. I think Alex could tell a bit more.
Yeah, it's pizza time again. Right, so just a few words. Yeah, that's a project that we basically we build our own language with using a Go language as a as an interpreter, as a compiler software for that. So we last time we talked a lot about the theory, like what the compilers are structured of, what are programming languages, how they can be defined, and we also build a lexer, the first step for the compiler. This time we're gonna continue with parser, and this is the second. And it's a very difficult matter, but I'll try to explain it with with how we build it with RX Go. And yeah, I hope it will be fun. So join us 27th March.
Yeah, definitely will be fun. And Alex has a lot of these cool images, so
yeah, right.
They're attractive. Cool. And also, we wanted to announce our next session after it, which will take place on the 10th of April, but unfortunately, we don't have the final decision what we're going to present. We have multiple versions, so please stay tuned. There will be definitely a session, and we will talk about something and share.
Yeah, or even better, if you want to join us in the next sessions, I posted a link in the chat. It's called Become an X Technology Expert. So if you want to give some feedback on what we're doing, or propose what we can actually do in the future, that's a way, the simplest way, I think, to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So if any of you is feeling really exciting about building projects or taking part in building projects, so we will be super happy to get in contact, talk about it. Feel free to contact us anywhere. So here are some of our contacts, probably a bit too much. Basically, it's Twitter, or Medium, or we have a channel on Telegram, so feel free to join there. We post the most important news to this channel.
And yeah, I think it's time for words from our expert. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you liked it, and yeah, we liked it for sure. So yeah, how do you feel about the session? What's good? What's bad with that?
Okay, I can start. First of all, thanks for inviting me. It was really great to hear about this project. I'm looking forward to see what would you do with all this dirty data, because it seems pretty challenging to build like text features from all of these like rich. This data is pretty rich, but it's pretty dirty at the same time. So I guess it's like the result may vary a lot depending on on how you will clean the data and how would you turn it into features. So I really appreciate your invitation, and I really appreciate you invite me to ask questions and to challenge some of your ideas. And I'm looking forward to seeing like more data science related stuff later, because I believe that's when real interesting stuff would happen. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Maxim. Yeah, happy to hear you here.
Yeah, thank you also from my side. Very similar thoughts. It was super interesting. As I said, I'm not an expert in web scraping or so this was also an update for me. And I'm also looking forward to when we can do something with the data. I actually have a few ideas already, which we can share maybe offline regarding what you can do regarding the names, right? And the name tags. Eventually, this will help to make it a little bit more stable, but we will see. So I hope you can come up in a few weeks with a good data set that we can work on to make the models happen.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I will be super happy to discuss it offline or online, because yeah, now I'm a bit lost in all of this stuff. Happy to have your ideas, and thank you for joining.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for our experts. Was a great session, I think. Thanks to Igor as well for presenting. So let's wrap it up.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone who joined the stream. We are here for you, and have a good weekend.
Yeah.
So
see you
next
next
time.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye bye.
See you all. Thank you.